Hi guys, and welcome back to Reed's Readers with your host Clinton Reed. And today I've got the most exciting video of the year to share with you guys. My top 20 of 2020. Now, I will pause for right now to see if you guys can guess what is on this gigantic stack of books. It is the 2020 of the 2020. Can y'all guess what 20 books? Let's get started. Actually, the one thing I would love for y'all to comment down below is for you to guess my top 5 books of the year. If you can guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books of the year, I'll love you forever. And I got my little list over here too. So coming in number 20 is The Gravity of Us by Phil Stamper. This follows, it's been a minute since I've read this one, Cal Lewis, as he is a social media correspondent who's super popular, and then his dad gets a chance to go work at NASA, so they have to move from New York to Texas and be on a reality TV show where he meets Leon and they start their relationship. I will state, there are bits and pieces of this I didn't enjoy, but there is a lot in here that I really enjoyed. This showed to me this is the type of sci-fi I like. Based on the real world with a little bit of sci-fi elements. Excuse me. Okay. I just thought this was a heartwarming book, and Leon and Cal are so lovable, and I just want to hug them. So if you haven't read this, I highly recommend this. This is an amazing debut novel, and I am so looking forward to his next novel, and you have no idea. Coming in number 19 is one of Mel's favorite books, and that is Storm and Fury by Jennifer L. Armentrout, which, before I continue on with this series, I kind of want to read the prequels, the series that came before. But this follows 18-year-old Trinity Morrow, who may be going blind, but she can see and communicate with ghosts. This is from a world where gargoyles protect people from demons? Yeah, demons. It's been a minute. So if you are a huge fan of the Shadowhunters world, I highly recommend this book, because this is... And I will state, because the main character is slowly going blind, it is an own voices when it comes to that, because Jennifer L. Armentrout is currently suffering from the same disease. And I just love these characters so much. Trinity and Zane, kick ass. And I think everybody needs to check this out. I still need to read the sequel, but I kind of want to read the original series first. Which may be a 2022 plan. Mel would say 2021, but yeah, Joe, we'll see later on this year. It's full. But yes. Coming in number 18 is Fairest by Marissa Meyer. This year, I buddy read the Lunar Chronicles series with Emily from Novel's Novels, and the book in that slowly became one of my all-time favorite series. I'm not a big into sci-fi, but this series really kicked my ass with that and showed me that I do like sci-fi. This is a fantasy sci-fi retelling series following characters based off of Cinderella, Rapunzel, Red Riding Hood, Sleeping Beauty, Snow White. And this particular one follows This is the origin story of the evil queen, Queen Lavanna. I love an origin story, and I don't know why, but I just really connected with this book, and Lavanna is one of my all-time favorite villains. This is usually everyone's least favorite in the series, and this is actually one of my faves. So, I can't wait to get the new cover of this one, too. I won't discuss what Lunar Chronicles is about because I feel like everybody knows what the Lunar Chronicles is about, so. That one just proves how Lavanna became evil. Coming in number 17 is a book that came out of nowhere to surprise me. I was originally suggested to read this book by Charlie Brooks, who is Emily from Novel Novel's sister. Suggested this not last year, but the year before. But it just came out this year in United States, and I just had to pick it up. And that is The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. Because for one, our edition has amazing underjacket. Just listen. This story is told in verse about a boy named Michael, right? Haha. Who is mixed race. He is half Greek, Cypriot, and Jamaican, who is learning this is a book about learning your own identity, growing up in London, and coming to terms with your own sexuality. And he does it through the art of drag, becoming the Black Flamingo. I won't tell you any more than that, but this is one of the most heartfelt books I think I have ever read. This literally, I can state, set red, white, and royal blue aside, this is the book that gave me the biggest hug I think I have ever had from a book. And I didn't think a book told in verse would affect me the way that this did. So, of course, I had to add it to this list. If you have not picked up The Black Flamingo, I highly, highly recommend it. And in coming in number 16, we just reread this book for the Bookmas Readathon and had an amazing chat with the author. But that is The Deceivers by Kristen Simmons. This has now became probably one of my favorite series of all time. And I prefer the third one's my favorite. It's not out yet. But this and Scammed are amazing. This is based off of Norse mythology following Bryn, who ends up going to a school for con artists. And all I gotta say is Cal. Is it Cal? Why? Caleb. Where the hell did I get Cal from? But Caleb is now one of my all-time favorite book boyfriends. So, you are a fan of Killing November, which y'all know I love. I highly recommend this series if you're into a fast-paced, don't trust nobody plot that just gets better and better and better and better throughout the series. I highly recommend this series. Why is it that every time I try to film this, I feel like I have no energy when I try to film this? And it's always get to Deceivers. Or whatever. Coming in number 15 was the book that I thought was going to be my favorite book of all year. But I did read this earlier on in the year, so that's why it's so low on the list. But it's still one of my favorite queer romances and retellings. And that is Only Mostly Devastated by Sophie Gonzalez. This is a Greece retelling set in set in, I don't remember the town. Oh, Collinswood. About Ollie and Will, where Ollie ends up having to move in with his great aunt. I want to say it's his great aunt. It's been a minute since I've read this, so with his great aunt, they move back to town to help take care of his great aunt who is dying of cancer. But during the summer, him and Will met and had a amazing fling, and now he moves to the town that Will goes to school at, and Will acts like they didn't mean anything. You know the plot of Grease? Grease. And I loved the pink ladies in this didn't have jackets, but they had rose gold necklaces, and I really want a rose gold dagger necklace now. Ugh. Just these are some of my favorite characters, and I think everybody would love this. This is an amazing debut. I read an arc of it, and I think I've read that book twice this year. And coming in at number 14 is another amazing debut novel, and that is All Your Twisted Secrets by Diana Urban, which is one of my favorite YA mystery thrillers. You'll see on this list, I read quite a bit of mystery thrillers this year, so This one is basically a queen bee, a star athlete, a valedictorian, a stoner, a loner, and a music geek. All are locked in a room with a bomb, saying that they need to choose one to die or they all die. I will state, this book had me on the edge of my seat the entire ride through. This was one of the quickest 5 stars I have given to a book. Like, this had me, like, And if you love Agatha Christie, you will really love this. And I am so looking forward to anything this woman writes. I need more. Which is kind of like with the rest of these authors on this list. I kind of want more from them all. And then coming in number 13 is another queer YA mystery thriller, and that is Surrender Your Sons by Adam Sass. This is a story about Connor Majors, who ends up getting kidnapped in the middle of the night by these men who throw him in a car and take him to an island in... Not an island. I want to say they're in the not Bahamas. I want to say they're like Brazil, like one of the South American countries, where he goes to a conversion camp to turn him from gay to straight. This book, me and my boyfriend both read this book at the same time, and I will tell you, I don't think I have been that cheered up from a book in I don't know how long. Just this hit too close to home as someone who is gay in the Bible Belt. This shows religion in a good light and a bad light all at the same time when it comes to being homosexual. And there are some characters in here that are trans, lesbian, queer, that all show the different sides of the people that I know and love. And it just shows a group of people that just fighting for survival. And you will never see the ending of this coming, is all I'm going to say. Coming at number 12, I do believe, is the only reread that I added to this list, but I've never discussed this particular book on this channel, and that is Rivermart by Patricia Briggs. This is the it's either book 6 or book 7 in this series. And this is the Mercy Thompson series, which if you don't know what that is, it's about Mercy Thompson, who is a VW mechanic who can turn into a coyote and is in a relationship with the alpha werewolf. And a lot of stuff ensues. But this is the one that dives more into her Native American heritage. And I just found it all fascinating, and who Coyote is, and if you haven't read this series, I highly recommend. Like, just do it. And coming in my number 11 slot is another book that Mel absolutely loved. And because Mel loved this book, I instantly went out and bought it the next day. And that is The Wives by Tarryn Fisher. What if you find out, okay, you know your husband has 2 other wives. Y'all are in this relationship. Y'all are fine and dandy with it. Yada, yada, yada. One is the Monday girl, one is Tuesday, and one is Thursday, something like that. But what if you end up finding a note in the pocket of your lover's pants, which is the name of one of the other wives, and you go and meet her and find out your husband's been beating her? What do you do? That is what this book is about. And this just the twists. When I got to a certain point in this book, I was like, wait, what? Is this really happening? This is by far one of the first. This shows me that, it's hard to talk about this book without spoiling. This book showed to me that I need to read more psychological thrillers, because this just blew my mind, and I need more from Tarryn Fisher in this kind of a setting. Because I know she writes a lot of adult romances, but I need more of this. Because damn. And now on to our top 10 of the year, guys. Let us move this stack up. Can you guess what my top 10 is? Coming in number 10 is one of my new, to me, favorite authors. This is number 10, right? Yep. New to me, auto-buy authors. I have read everything she's wrote this year, and I absolutely love every bit of it. And that is One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. Now, I could have put any of her books on this list, but this is the one that stands out, hands down, as the one who got me into her, that I fell in love. This is everything I needed and more. This is about, basically, you have a brain, a beauty, a criminal, an athlete, and an outcast. All are put in detention. And one of them dies. Yeah, and there's no one else in the room but the people in the room. So who killed the person? I say go into this blind. I did, and I was blown away. This is the book that taught me this year that YA mystery thrillers, if they're told in this type of a setting, is my kind of book. And now Karen has me hooked for life. Anything she puts out, I will be purchasing. I just need it all in my life, like now. If you have not read this brilliant woman's works, I highly, highly, highly recommend. I do believe, based on enjoyment, I think my least favorite is Two Can Keep a Secret. Based on star ratings, is probably The Cousins, but I digress. I may or may not do a video on her coming up soon. she's just phenomenal. And that's all I'm going to say. I have talked about all these books throughout the year, and I feel like you guys are tired of hearing me talk about it. And now I'm like trying to think of new ways to promote these books without saying the same things over and over and over and over and over and over again. How hard that is. Coming in number 9 is an author we already know I love, but that is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This follows Daisy as she joins the Six, and they put on an album, concerts, and everything like that. This gave me Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac vibes wholeheartedly. It is told in podcast kind of format with interviews. So I listened to the audiobook as I read it along with it, and it just blew me away. I listened to nothing but Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac for 3.5 weeks after this because it's all I wanted and more. If you are a huge fan of Evelyn Hugo, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I highly recommend this. There are still a few of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books that I have not read, but I need to devour soon because I just need more Taylor in my life. She has a way of writing characters that are so authentic and real. You feel like these people are real. And in the audiobook, like, there are lyrics to songs in the back. They perform them in the audio. Like, listen. I feel like I know and love these characters, and I need a show. Just hands down. I need a show. Coming in number 8 slot is probably my favorite fantasy standalone of the year. Yeah. And retelling of the year. And that is Cinderella's Dead by Kaylin Barron. This book, oh my god, this book blew me away and just... This is a retelling of Cinderella, but more so a continuation. It's 200 years since Cinderella found her prince, but the fairy tale is not over. Sophie knows the story, though, knows the story by heart, because every girl has recited it daily, from when she was tiny until the night she's sent to the royal ball for choosing. And every girl knows that has only one chance, for the lives of those not chosen by a man at the ball are forfeit. But Sophia doesn't want to be chosen. She doesn't want to go to the ball at all, not when she's afraid the girl she loves might be chosen. Pushed beyond breaking by a society that denies everything she is, Sophia sets out on a journey that will remake her world into one where she gets to choose. And this, you think you know the Cinderella fairy tale? Bitch, this turns it on its head and fucks you up. This fucks you up. Listen. Highly, highly, highly recommend. And coming in the number 7 slot is The Ravens by Cass Morgan and Danielle Page. This is a sorority of witches, where this has one of the most unique magic systems I think I've ever seen in books, using the tarot cards as your elements. Earth, fire, wind, and air. Earth, fire, water, and air. And this follows Georgia as she joins the... Oh, not Georgia. Woo. This follows Scarlet Winter, has always known she's a witch, and she's determined to be the sorority's president, just like her mother and sister before her. And this also follows Viv Devereaux. She has no idea she's a witch, and the stuff that happens. This is such a book that you need to go in blind. A lot of these next ones I'm going to be telling you about, go into them blind because you will enjoy it. I didn't really know what the story was about. I just heard Sorority of Witches. And I was like, oh, that's going to be a cute and fun book. Nah. Cute and fun, my ass. This shit was real intense and just everything I wanted from a witch book. This is my favorite witch book of the year. And we all know how much I love witches. And there's apparently a sequel coming. And I just need it in my life. And then coming in, number 6 is probably my favorite, yeah, I will state my favorite YA mystery thriller of the year. There is one further up on the list, but it's a sequel. And then there's a queer one before this. But these next 3 are my favorite YA mystery thrillers. But this next one is the first of them. And that is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. If you love crime shows, like real life crime shows, where you see like the boards, like all like the red strings connecting things and trying to figure shit out, this is such the book to go. This follows Andy. Okay, everyone in Fairview knows the story. Pretty and popular high school senior Andy Bell was murdered by her boyfriend Sal, who then killed himself. It was all anyone could talk about, and 5 years later, Pip sees how the tragedy still haunts her town. But she can't shake the feeling that there was more to the story. She knew Sal when she was a child, and he was always so kind to her. How could he possibly have been the killer? Now a senior herself, Pip decides to re-examine the closed case for her final project. At first just to cast doubt on the original investigation, but soon she discovers a trail of dark secrets that might actually prove Sal's innocent. And the line between past and present begins to blur. Someone in Fairview doesn't want Pip digging around for answers, and now her own life might be in danger. This is the story of an investigation turned obsession, full of twists and turns, with an ending you'll never expect. And I agree. You never expect the ending. I thought I knew who the killer was 30 different times in this. And when you finally found out who was the real bad guy, you're like, what? I remember sitting up in bed and screaming. It's so fucking good, and I cannot wait for the sequel. Next is another new to me author this year that I fucking love. This is my number 5 slot. Goes to one of my new auto-buy authors. I have read almost everything he has out now. There's a few things that I haven't read. But, oh my god. And that is Death Prefers Blondes by Caleb Rehrig. All I'm going to say about this book, one, is that it's Mel's favorite book from last year, and she passed along the ARC to me, which is still on the shelf. And I read it as the first thing, one of the first things I read this year. And the only other thing I can say about this is Jewel thieving drag queens. That's all you need to know going into this. I just want more. I want a show. I want a movie. I want merchandise. I want sequels after sequels. I want side stories. I want short stories. Give me anything in this world that I'm down. Jewel thieving drag queens. And the other thing I will state is the drag queen family in this represents a side that a lot of people don't ever get to see. Is this drag family literally is my drag family in a book. Just saying, read it. Now on to the next two books are my top two sequels of the year. This was really hard to put, so 3 and 4 could be bouncing back and forth, but at number 4 slot is Hunting November by, who guessed it, Adriana Mather made it to top 5. Who would have guessed? This is the sequel to one of my favorite books, and that is Killing November, which is about November, who is sent to a private school for assassins and murderers. I can't tell you much about this one because it's the sequel, but I will just tell you this took some twists and turns that I didn't see coming. And Adriana, I need a third. Finish the series, please. Love you. Mean it. Without me getting too crazy. And the other sequel is, number 3 is A Heart So Fierce and Broken by Bridget Kimmerer. I can honestly state that this series is my favorite fantasy series of all time. I just finished rereading the first one. And I need a Vow So Bold and Deadly, which comes out in February, or the end of January. Yes, the end of January. Fucking need it, because we're reading it in February, and I can't fucking wait. Pardon the fucks. But this is a continuation to A Curse So Dark and Lonely, which is a Beauty and the Beast retelling where Belle has cerebral palsy. This follows one of those characters in that, in his journey, and you still see some returning characters and some new romantic leads. You also have this beautiful edition with Ren and Harper here. And then you have Gray and Laia Maria. And all I gotta say is I need more of this in my life. Now, this next two were the hardest books to choose. You have my favorite series of all time and my favorite book of all time. Coming in number 2 slot is my favorite book now of all time, and that is by Adriana's husband, James Bird. That is his stunning debut middle grade novel, The Brave, by James Bird. This follows a kid, Colin. That's what I thought. This follows a kid named Colin who has to, every time you say something to him, he has to count every single letter of every word you say to him and say that number back to you before he can speak. And this is also him being sent to the reservation to live with his mother and learns what it really means to be Ojibwe, which is a Native American tribe. And it's so much more than that, but I can't tell you any more than that because this is a book that I think everybody from child to grandparent should read. There's also a character in here who reminded me a lot of how I felt about my sister, and there are some parts in here that had me bawling. And there's also a hidden message in the book, which you will see when you open the book. There are different letters that are underlined, which formulate a message, which is super fun. And just read it. It's as simple as that. This is a middle grade that will touch your heart. And I'm already crying thinking about it. I've read this book 3 times this year now. Still need to do the audiobook though. And my number 1 book of 2020. Can y'all guess? I've been screaming about it for the last couple months. That is Wolf Song by T.J. Klune. Gay werewolves. Gay werewolves. This follows Oxnard and Joe's relationship, right? Yes. And this has one of the best family figures I have ever seen in a book series. Move along, Weasleys. This is the family I want to be part of. I went into it blind, just knowing that it was gay werewolves. Didn't know anything about it, but I will tell you, page 5, just so you know, about here was my first time bawling my eyes out. So read it. This is definitely a book that I highly recommend that you read and read the series, and it's made me want everything and anything T.J. Klune. I know I didn't give a lot of descriptions for a lot of the books, but I'm that type of person who likes to go into some books blind, and I feel like you guys should too. So, that is my 2020, or my top 20 of 2020. Did you guys read any of these books? Comment down below and let me know your thoughts on some of them. Did I convince you to read some of basically mainly this stack here? Top 10? Top 20? Any of these on your TBR? So I can tell you to read it. If you're new, might as well hit that, if you like this video, hit that thumbs up. You might as well hit subscribe because you want to know what's happening with me in 2021. Big plans. New to me authors, read-alongs, buddy reads, maybe a book TBR game, maybe. Who knows? So might as well hit that subscribe. And as I've said in a couple of videos, I am changing up how I'm gonna say goodbye in these videos. So, because 2020 was such a disastrous year, I want everyone to remember to be the fabulous human beings you are. So remember, kids, always be fabulously you. Until next time, a boy!